What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Cool Colas here, and you are now tuning into a new video on my channel. But before we get into the topic, I would love for you to do the usual. Hit the like button, subscribe button, bell icon so you get notifications for whenever I come out with new content on this channel. Share this video and leave me a comment below when you are finished watching this. For today's topic, I want to talk about why it is ass backwards and hypocritical to be pro-black or consider yourself pro-black and gatekeep pertinent information to the community. The reason why I wanted to talk about this topic today is because I think it's really pertinent for all of us who consider ourselves to be pro-black or to be on code to understand this message and be on the same page about how we should act when it comes to information sharing and things like that. So I was having a discussion with one of my very close followers who has definitely been a big time supporter, and her and I were kind of chopping it up on the phone the other day, just exchanging ideas and things like that. And one of the things that came up in conversation was how I really don't like gatekeeping and how it's detrimental to our progression. If anything, it's ass backwards, and it totally, in my opinion, brings down this whole idea of us being empowered and unified at the same time. And I want to tell y'all a quick story. I want to tell y'all a quick story about this brother who I feel did this in order to allow you all to understand where I'm coming from with this message. And I'm not going to name any names. The whole point is not to denigrate this brother. And the whole point is not to storm down on him and to have y'all do the same thing. The point is for me to use this as an example of why I feel this message is important. Now, this brother that I'm telling you all about, he is somebody who considers himself pro-black, and he create a business that basically empowers black nerds, and he wants to create all of these different consulting firms and things like that. I'm not gonna talk all about the plan, but the point I'm trying to make though is that the initial statement and things that he shared about what he wants to do, I found to be very positive, very interesting, and things that I think are really going to take off. So I was in full support of that, and him and I basically fought each other. But he did a few things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and it kind of made me think about it and say, if you're somebody who wants to do things that are empowering for black people, essentially black nerds, but black people in general, then it's very important that you understand how important it is for all of us to kind of be on the same page about information and resources and things like that. And I think that that was amiss. And there's a few other things that were amiss too. I guess some of my other issues too is this brother has used terms such as woke to describe certain things, and he also too said something about how we need to support platforms such as the ones that the celebrities like Oprah and Tyler Perry are creating. So when he said that, again, I raised an eyebrow because I was like, okay, that's not, these are two people that none of us who are pro-black or who are a part of FBA culture truly support as people who are empowering or who care about the community. So that was strange to me, But anyway, let me get to my 3 points. So the first time that I kind of got rubbed the wrong way by this brother was he had a live video, and on the live video he said something about how I guess he basically was talking about how, the dominant society controls, media and all this other stuff, which I agree with, right? And so one of the points that I brought up was, that's why, on my platform, I'm careful about my vernacular and the stuff that I say, but I'm creating a platform where we're able to analyze the anti-blackness that's in media, and hopefully, once that becomes a bigger thing and more people are becoming hip to, what I'm doing, more of our people, foundational black Americans, blacks who are pro-black, that type of thing, when we become more hip to that type of thing, I can take that and make it more public and put it into other spaces and things like that. So he kind of threw a little bit of salt on what I had said, and he said, I can't really get with all this race baiting, is what he said. So I already kind of tilted my head when he said that shit. And then he said, I just think at the end of the day, you don't need to talk pro-black, you need to be pro-black. Now, I want to be clear. I don't disagree with this idea that we need to be and act pro-black, but I did not appreciate him saying that I was just race baiting, because that, to me, the kind of red alert went off like that sounds like some kind of like low-key Sambo shit. It was just the terminology. So I didn't want to get nitpicky. It was just one time where he said that, so I didn't really think too much of it. By the way, family, the other thing I wanted to say too is that if anybody ever says that you should not talk pro-black and talk about things that are related to issues that impact us, do not listen to them. You can make a brand out of literally anything if you play your cards right, and if you are smart about it, and if you go about it the right way. So don't even believe any of that nonsense. The world is supposed to see your unique mindset, the ways that you think, the things that are important to you, the ways that you believe the world could be made better. That's an important part of what you need to do as someone who is an influencer or somebody who is a content creator. You show them your mindset and you show them the things that you want to put people on game to. You don't shy away from certain things because of the consequences you feel that you may reap. And the reality is that for Black people, we're already reaping consequences. It's already an uphill battle. So we're not going to be harmed anymore for speaking about those things. So there was another time I had a conversation with this brother, right? And we were talking about just speaking because, like I said, I wanted to take what I was doing and put it onto a bigger platform, because I had all this stuff that I had been doing on Instagram where I had been, again, talking about anti-Black media images the same way that I do here on YouTube. But so him and I had a discussion about this, and he was talking about how, I should try to do speaking, which I agreed with, and that's something that already was in my head. Now, at some point during the conversation, he shared with me about how there was this woman who had made so much money as a speaker. And so he had shared her profile and all this other stuff. And he said, look at all the stuff that she's done, yada, 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 yada. And so, my understanding was, based off of the conversation that we had, was that he wanted me to potentially reach out to her and ask how she had done this, or if she had any services that taught people how to become speakers. So when I said, okay, I said, thank you for sharing this, and I'll definitely reach out to her, and let her know this is something that I'm trying to do, get into speaking myself, and ask if she has any advice or any tips. So he got really upset, really, really, really upset when I said this. And he was like, no, he said, don't reach out to her. Don't reach out to her, because she's not even supposed to know that you're not even supposed to know that she's made all this money and did all this stuff. Please don't reach out to her, because I'm going to lose my connection with her. So don't do that. So he was just going off in the comments, and I'm like, all right, bro, just chill out. I'm not going to do it. I didn't really know, because you didn't really communicate whether or not I should or should not reach out to her. You made it seem like, she was a good reference for tips and things like that. But I then asked him, just for communication purposes, did you give me this just to let me know who she was and what she had done? And he said yes. And I'm like, then you should have just said that if it was that serious, my nigga. What? So anyway, that was second strike. I, again, kind of just blew it by, didn't really think too much of it. The third strike for me. So I, as y'all know, I moved to North Carolina. That's where I live at. And this brother also moved to North Carolina as well, from where he was living at as well too, right? And so at some point he had a live, and I joined the live again because, we're two, brothers trying to, do very big things for the community and things like that. So again, I'm there to still support them and, look past all the stuff that seemed very small, because those things seem kind of minuscule to me. But looking back, I'm realizing that all these little things kind of add up, and there's some other stuff I won't get into, but that's the point. Anyway, so he has a live, and I come on, and he basically was talking about how he had moved to North Carolina and things like that. And I said, okay, so yeah, I'm going to be doing the whole speech thing soon. I was wondering, are there any organizations that you work with directly that you also would recommend that I join, or not join, or that I would, reach out to and whatnot. And just for reference, he was asking people, like, were there any questions that he would like for them to he is basically asking us, were there any questions that we wanted to ask him that he could answer for us? So that was the whole idea. So that's when I got into, okay, yeah, I moved to North Carolina as well too. Are there any organizations that you would recommend that I work with? So this brother basically he was like weird at first about it. And he was like, just work with like, just talk about what you do in barbershops and in grocery stores and shit like that, basically. And I'm like, okay, that's not really what I had in mind. That's why I asked for different organizations that I want to try to reach out to. And so then the brother basically started majoring in the minors and was like, don't say try, just say you're going to do it. And I'm like, niggas starting to get on my nerves. So I'm like, brother, listen, I'm asking you, have you worked with any specific organizations that are in the state of damn North Carolina, nigga? Like, what? So anyway, so he basically, I asked him this question again in a polite way. And so then he comes back and he says, that's up to you to do. The minute he said that, I signed right off the live, because I was done with the nigga. I was done supporting the nigga. I was done trying to, give, any more stake into what he was doing, because at this point he was grandstanding and he was just acting, in my opinion, like a bitch. And I just wasn't really fucking with it. And I had to really think back to the whole conversation. And I realized that my main problem was that he already had rubbed me the wrong way. But the third interaction specifically rubbed me the wrong way, because I realized that was some low-key gatekeeping shit. And that's something that we really shouldn't be getting into, especially as foundational Black Americans. Now, I want to talk about something that I read off of the ISIS papers by Frances Cress Welsing. And I may be kind of modifying what she stated a little bit, and to exemplify my point, so you understand where I'm coming from with this. One of the things that she talked about is how the dominant society loves to practice isolationism and how they love to also practice individualism. And so when I read through that section where she talked about that chapter, I realized that this is a concept that was started by white supremacy. And it has plagued a lot of us as foundational Black Americans, and has allowed us to think that this is the way that we are supposed to be with one another. The thing about Black progression that I think a lot of people miss when they are off code is that they believe that it's all about Black people just pulling themselves up by their bootstraps and doing shit that is going to be productive and conducive to empowering the community, and that's it. But what they often forget is that there is a communal aspect and rules to go with it that need to be followed as well too. It's not about just hustling all day and grinding and getting a bunch of money. There are other things that are very important as well too to Black empowerment. So that includes, again, being unified, being codified, thinking about reparations, thinking about how we can try to empower ourselves in every area of activity. In other words, there's levels to this. It's not a thing of I'm just going to get money and that's it. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have a bunch of Sambos walking around who just have money for themselves and are using it for their own gain. So the point in what I'm saying is that when you think about the concept of individualism and isolationism, they are two things that hurt our community, because they do not allow us to create with one another. We think that we have to do everything on an independent basis. The reason why this conversation is so important is because when it comes to gatekeeping information, it's very unnecessary and counterproductive to our progression when you could give somebody gems that actually help them to be able to create something or do something that is productive. We need to be able to take our resources, pull them, and share them with people who are going to be constructive. Now, my thing with this brother who decided to react to me in this way on this live was there were a lot of ways that he could have gone about this much differently. The first thing that he could have done is he could have said, hey, I'd rather go through those details via DMs. Let's just do that. He could have said, I don't really know, because the nigga could have just been totally unaware. Or number three, the last thing that he could have did is say, you know what? I got consulting services. They start at $60 an hour. Let me know if you want to use them and we can go from there. That's really all he had to do at the end of the day. And he chose to do none of those things. He chose to grandstand in front of his audience like the shit was cool. So the point I'm trying to make is that when you consider yourself to be somebody who is pro-black, you have to think from the perspective of how you can empower other black people who you know or believe are going to do something constructive. And I think the mentality as to why I think a lot of us don't is because we believe in this idea of isolationism and this idea of individualism. So what that means is isolation means is that when somebody else does not have something that you have, you isolate them and basically tell them that they are on their own. Individualism means that I'm going to use this for myself and my own gain, but not necessarily considering the communal aspect. These two things really go hand in hand, and they are both very problematic to being a unified body of people who are pro-black from a collective basis. Now, here's the reason why it's also pertinent for us to share resources with each other. We must share resources with each other because this whole just Google it shit is just not going to work. Everybody wants to say just Google it, just research it. And this is an unpopular opinion, but I really don't give a damn. The reality is that is a very problematic statement. I get if there's some simple shit like looking up the definition of something, but when it comes to intense and intricate research, we need a medium, or at least people who are trustworthy, who are going to give you quality information, because the things that you find on the internet are either unorganized or they're disingenuous and are not telling you the full truth. Hell, you have to fact checking sites now. So you already know that you're going to have to do intense research, and you should do your own research. Don't get me wrong, but don't eliminate the idea that other people who could be constructive could be part of that researching process. Sometimes some of your best information comes from individuals who have experience in these particular things. A piece of information is just almost like a canvas. You take it and you do what you wish with it. But if you have no experience, you could be fucking up. But it may actually be beneficial if you're able to get information, solid information from somebody who has that experience. Now, the reason why I feel like a lot of people choose to gatekeep information in our community is because they feel, and this brother to some extent has said this before in the past, that they've given away so much information to other people and people choose to do nothing with it. If somebody chooses not to do anything constructive with the information that's given to them, then that is on them. It is not on the person who is giving it to them. You are supposed to show people the game that you have and give them game that is going to be beneficial. That's how people create trust with you, because they know that you're doing things that are valuable. You're not doing it just because it serves you. You're doing it because it serves other people, ultimately. Because when you have a business or anything else that you create, your whole goal is to serve and help other people and provide something for them, not just to fill your pockets. Gatekeeping information is very harmful to our community. And ultimately, all it does is continue to hold us back. I know that in any community that I thrive in, that is not how I operate. I don't operate in just being stingy with connections, being stingy with information that I have, and being stingy with the different things that I've learned over time in my experiences, my stories. I'm willing to be vulnerable in order to teach lessons and important things that could be helpful to people. And that's how we build. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we really should be doing is creating databases for information that is pertinent to us, because what's going to happen is we're going to be stuck trying to find hidden gems that are not really out there in the open, because let's be real, most of us have to just be subjected to being called conspiracy theorist all the time, because a lot of times these so-called conspiracy theories are just pieces of information that have been withheld from Black people for such a long time, and now we are made to seem like quacks for seeking out that information that has been hidden from us and that has been revised by the dominant society. So we ultimately need a database that is going to give us trustworthy information that we can know for ourselves, teach each other, and pass down to other people as well. One of my Instagram friends suggested something that I felt like was a very good idea, and something that we as pro-Blacks who are constructive should be focusing on. We should create these groups where we're able to share different resources with one another. So what that means is that if you have a skill and I have a skill and there's a bunch of other people who have skills and they're all different skills, we can come together, talk about the services that we have, how they're important, how they're pertinent, and then we can exchange those things with one another. You know, like a networking event, but more so for folks who are pro-Black and want to create empowerment in Black society. I think that's going to be very important and crucial, especially when it comes to sharing information that is going to wake us up. We really need to concentrate on trying to create spaces where we're able to share things in a fluid way. The only thing that we as pro-Black should be gatekeeping is our culture from other cultures and races of people who try to steal it. But what we should not do is gatekeep things that are going to be pertinent for us to be able to grow in our community and to create a more empowered community. We should be sharing these resources with one another in a way that is going to be helpful and is going to allow us to be able to have the missing pieces to the things that we needed to create things that are very constructive. And again, I want to make it clear. I want to make it so clear when I say this. When it comes to you having something that's valuable, like a skill, there's nothing wrong with having a price tag. But when you have information that isn't super pressing, like a skill that you have to spend hours of sweat equity to be able to teach somebody, then you should be able to give people gems for free in order to build trust. That is the whole point of being a pro-Black influencer. You give people game and you give people things that are going to show that this person is not only knowledgeable, but somebody who actually cares about the stuff that they're actually doing. Not somebody who is just concerned about their image and the things that they create becoming somewhat of a hub of a financial gain for themselves. All right, y'all. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say and the message. I will definitely have more to come, so stay tuned. Other than that, I hope you all have a great rest of y'all's night. Peace.